Good evening and welcome to Season 2, Episode 11 of the Pack Homer Podcast. I'm Cal here with my buddies Adam and Wes, and we're going to try to do it a little bit different this week because last week, guys, we struggled. We apologize for it. We got Adam back out of witness protection this week, so hopefully he has a little bit better internet quality this week, and me and Wesley don't go in and out as well. We appreciate it if you're tuning in this week. We know last week was a little bit rough. Anyway, Pack wins 3 out of 4 this week. Started in the midweek with a 13-0 win over Davidson at the Kannapolis Cannonballers Stadium, and then won 2 out of 3 versus Pitt on the weekend. Almost felt like a letdown after, again, we get to Sunday with a chance to sweep, and are unable to do so. Even bigger letdown was the game only went 8 innings today because we had to catch a flight. I thought that kind of sucked.
Yeah, I hate that, man.
But we only got 8 innings in. Ended up falling 5-3. We'll talk about those ball games here in a minute. Before we do that, though, let's swing it around the ACC. Clemson 2-1 series winners over Wake Forest this weekend.
That was a heck of a series. Did y'all watch any of those games?
I wasn't able to watch any of them. Got any highlights from that, Adam?
Well, Clemson was up. Wake was up game 2 yesterday, 10-0. They ended up winning 12-10. And today, Wake was up 6-0 and then ended up losing 7-6. They gave up 3 in the bottom of the 8th. And tied it, and then Wake in the top of the 9th got runners on 2nd and 3rd and couldn't score, couldn't bring them home, and then Clemson ended up scoring in the bottom of the 9th to walk it off on a wild pitch. But yeah, those were. I didn't see the Friday game, but the other 2 games are good games.
Florida State was a 2-1 series winner over Miami. I actually got to take in game 3 down in Coral Gables last night. Pretty cool atmosphere they had there. If any Pack fans go down to Coral Gables this year for our series, got to get you a milkshake. They have a whole concession stand, pretty good size concession stand too. That is dedicated solely to milkshakes, and they also sell beer in the stands, which I thought was a nice touch. Cash only if you need that for later. UNC was a 2-1 series winner over Boston College this weekend. Virginia Tech, last weekend we kind of disappointed we didn't get a sweep there, but then they go and win 2-1 over Louisville this weekend after Louisville won the series last week versus UNC. Duke, probably the biggest surprise of the weekend. Not that they won the series, but they swept the series on the road. At UVA this weekend. UVA, I think, was preseason number 2 in the country. Is that right? They were preseason top 5 for sure.
Yeah, top 5.
So they're definitely going to fall out of the polls this week. They were number 23 this week on D1 baseball, but after getting swept. Another shocker was Cal 3-0 over Stanford.
At Stanford.
And Stanford had been playing really well. They'd already won series against Duke and UNC. And then they get knocked off at home versus Cal. Georgia Tech, 3-0 series winners over Notre Dame. Georgia Tech has quietly jumped out to a 20-4 overall record. I didn't realize they had been playing that well, but they're 7-2 now in the ACC. Do you know who those 2 losses are to? I know Wesley does because we talked about it before you hopped on, Adam. They're 7-2 with games dropped to Virginia Tech and Pitt. Yep. So
yeah,
looking at,
I knew one to Pitt, but I didn't remember they had played Virginia Tech.
Looking at the ACC standings now, Florida State is the only 1-loss team remaining, so they're in first at 5-1. Georgia Tech at 7-2. Wake Forest at 7-2. Clemson and NC State both at 4-2. Stanford at 5-3. Duke at 5-4. Louisville now is at 3-3. Cal at 4-4. UNC at 4-5, Virginia Tech at 4-5, Pitt at 2-4, Virginia at 3-6,
Wow.
Boston College at 3-6, Miami at 1-5. Won't say that many times over the years if we keep doing this podcast. I don't think. And Notre Dame is fallen now to 1-8. So Pac's won 14 out of the last 16. Again, tough luck losers today. Well, maybe not tough luck. We just didn't play worth a damn. But
We might have been tough luck losers today, but we were tough luck winners yesterday.
yeah. So I'll go with that. I'll go along with that. So in the midweek, 13-0 win over Davidson. Anderson Nance goes 3 2/3 innings, strikes out 8. When we finish that game with Jackson Lucas and Derek Smith, and also Jacob Duden ended up striking out Davidson 13 times. Any takeaways from that one, Wes? We did a lot of things good in that game. It felt like.
Yeah, I didn't. We'll go to Adam. I was at a conference in Florida, and I did not get a chance to watch much of that. So all I really saw was the box score and the 65 text messages between you guys, Ken and Alex. So that's about my only takeaway. So I'll let Adam go there.
Yeah, y'all were all in Florida this weekend. Y'all might have been here more than I was. Yeah, I watched a lot of the game. I can't remember, a lot of the, Nance looked good on the mound, obviously. I didn't see D-Rock and Duden, but I did see Jackson Lucas a little bit. Frazeman, I know, and Nixon both had big hits. I think they both had 3 RBIs apiece, and McHugh had a couple big hits too. So, I mean, dominated and won there's a game that we should have, I would say.
Yeah, pretty boring midweek game after we jumped out and scored 9 in the first 2 innings. McHugh did homer, hit his 5th of the year. Hogue hit a home run, and then Nixon hit another home run in that game too after hitting one last week versus Virginia Tech. So it was kind of nice to see us hit some balls hard. We had 12 hits, scored 13 runs, played clean baseball. D-Rock did come in through 18 pitches, I'm sorry, but he had 6 punch outs, or 3 punch outs. Now he has 6 punch outs on the year in 2 innings of work. So still have not seen him yet on the weekend. We are still crossing our fingers that happens soon. I think Wesley made a good point today in our group text that 42 degrees is probably not the time to bust D-Rock out in ACC play with him coming back from injury. But yeah, Pack played well, gave up 4 hits, scored a lot of runs, played error-free baseball. Trenton Lyons, that is something that Trenton Lyons did make his debut in that Davidson game. Don't want to overlook that. He went 1 for 4 with a double. I suspect he will get some more at bats in maybe this week's midweek game as they're trying to get him up to speed. Wasn't entirely comfortable in the box after not getting in it for a while. He did punch out several times, but did get his first hit as a member of the NC State Wolfpack, and it was a double actually. So Trenton Lyons playing was a positive sign to see out of that one. All right, so to the Pitt series, game 1, 6-2 Pack victory. A lot of Dom Fritton, guys. I'll go to you now, Wes, since you didn't have us a whole lot to offer on the Davidson game.
Yeah, Dom was dominant. I think that when the game started out and Decrecio took one off of their big green or blue monster or whatever that was, I thought that offense was gonna. I mean, I was thinking it was gonna be we're really gonna jump on those guys, and that ended up not being the case. And I think 6th, 7th inning, I think I texted you guys, said Dom needs some offense, and then that's about time we turned it on. But I don't think you can say enough about how good that Dom was and how how good Dom's been, honestly.
Adam?
And to follow that up, Wes, you're talking about sixth, seventh inning or seventh inning before we finally got him some support. I mean, Gardner, the kid that was pitching for them, was just absolutely lights out too. I mean, he gave up 3 hits through 6 in the third. Only struck out 6 of it. I mean, only struck us out 6 times, but man, he was he was mowing through us pretty fast. So we finally got in the pen there, and we're able to put some runs on the board. So yeah, I mean, Dom was incredible. I mean, he's just 13 strikeouts, 2 walks. I think he might have hit a guy, but man, he was the dominant Dom we've seen the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised to see Dom make a second consecutive start in ACC play and just be, lights out. For a while, it kind of looked like he might not go late. It being so cold, and he mixed a couple walks in, gave up 2 runs in the fourth, and they still only had 4 hits in the game, the entire game. Pitt did, but you were hoping that Dom was going to be able to get through that, and then take us deep enough in the game that we'd give a chance to the bullpen for the bullpen to win the game. But instead, Dom ends up going out and getting the first out of the 8th, strikes out 13, and we scored 5 runs in the 8th and 9th. They brought in one of probably their best reliever, Ethan Firavid, I believe is his name. But anyway, we scored 3 in the 8th, 2 in the 9th. A big swing in all of that was the Nixon double. I believe that. I think Nixon drove in 2 on the late double. Is that right? I think that was the 4th and 5th, or 5th and 6th.
Yeah, he had 2. Yeah, he had 2 RBIs. Yeah.
So anyway,
and Hogue had 2 as well.
A clean baseball game. Again, no errors. Pitt played a clean game too, but we were just better on the mound. Is really what it all came down to. We got a couple of timely hits when they were unable to. We left more on base than they did. We left 6 on base. They left 4 on base. So a clean game, and had us feeling good going into game 2. So in game 2, it was not a clean game from Pitt.
No, sir.
I think that if you ask Pitt, they would have to say that they feel like they gave us the ball game. They gave up 2 earned runs. We gave up 4, and ended up winning the ball game 6-4. Pitt did not score after the 6th inning. They scored 2 in the bottom of the 6th to make it a 5-4 game. We came right back and scored again in the 7th. But they made a lot of errors, kicked it around, just an ugly game. And
they definitely just lacked the timely hits. I mean, they had 13 hits, only scored 4 runs. They left 13 on base. I mean, I don't know. Gosh, how many times they had the bases loaded and didn't score? 3 times?
That sounds right. I know
it was definitely back. It was definitely back-to-back innings, and I was thinking it was again. They might have had the bases loaded, or maybe they did score on that last time when that. But anyway, yeah, it was. They definitely had them loaded.
We were able to get some big strikeouts. The biggest one of the game, obviously, being in the 9th inning from Andrew Schaffner. He came in after Duden went out to close the game.
And they came in with a 2-0 count.
Came in with a 2-0 count. So Duden had a strikeout and a walk in the end, and did get 2 guys out of the 3 batters he faced out, but then went into a 2-0 count on the 4th batter he faced, and we had a quick hook, which looking back, I think was definitely the right decision. And Schaffner comes in, throws 3 strikes in a row. Well, I guess not 3. I got fouled off a few, I guess, because he threw 6 pitches, but it felt like he just went right at him, strikes him out, and we win game 2 6-4 after being, I guess, what you would say, probably thoroughly outplayed. in that ball game. So get out of there with a 6-4 win.
And there was also the other thing is the wind was nuts. I mean, the wind was just blowing in incredibly yesterday.
Yeah, and I don't know if it helped them more or us. There was a lot of balls that looked pretty good off the bat that didn't even make it to the warning track.
Yeah,
In that game, one ball that did make it to the track was that the Saturday game that Ty Head made. It was a Saturday game,
it
wasn't
was Saturday game.
Holy
yeah.
smokes, what a catch!
Yeah, he came up with
yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome.
If you have not looked that up, get on X or Instagram and go find just I'm sure if you type in Ty Head Pitt, that catch is going to come up.
I'll find it and retweet it on our Pack Homer pod.
Consiglio, Nance Schaffner threw in that game. I was impressed to see Anderson Nance, how well he threw after throwing 67 pitches in the midweek, to come back Saturday and throw 48 pitches of 3 hit ball, no runs, 4 more punch outs. Probably, I would say, out of everybody that threw in that game, he did the best job of really pounding the zone. Heath had 3 walks and 3 2/3. Nance did have a walk, but I thought he threw the ball pretty dang good, especially considering the situation that he had thrown 67.
Hey, they only walked us twice.
Yeah, only struck us out 6 times, and we struck them out 11. But and really, that's what hurt Pitt was. We were able to manufacture some runs after they would make errors where we'd get an extra bag and we'd put the ball in play. It was just a scrappy win. It was not a pretty win, but anyway, a win nonetheless. And we go into game 3 today, looking at an opportunity to sweep Pitt and get to 5-1 in ACC play with our schedule coming up. Something that we thought would be a huge deal would be to get to 5-1. 5-1 would have had us tied with Florida State for first in the conference. And today, guys, I mean, we pitched good enough to win. I mean, if you're listening, you can complain that Marone wasn't perfect, or that he struggled a little bit, or that Schaffner threw for the 3rd time in 3 days, or you can say whatever the hell you want to say. We scored 15 runs in 3 ACC games and won 2 of them. That is, you can't ask for a whole lot more from a pitching standpoint than that. And we had 4 hits on Sunday versus their, I guess, 3rd starter, who, by the way, had a 7.17 ERA. We just didn't hit. We didn't even come close to hitting. Adam, you had a thought?
Yeah, no, we didn't. And I was thinking once he went out, once he kind of slipped there and went out, maybe getting that deeper in their bullpen, we would finally find some offense. I mean, I guess at that point we had we were still leading 3-2, but the Porter kid that came in just seemingly I mean he got us out. And like we were talking about, we were not striking out a lot as a team. I mean, but we're just not hitting it where they ain't. It's like, but it looked freaking miserable up there today. I mean, I'll give us a little bit of a pass. I mean, it just didn't look like fun baseball weather. Every time they showed the stands and the people were bundled up in sweaters and blankets. I mean, our daggone players in the dugout were wearing like the trench coats like the Green Bay Packers wear on the sideline at Lambeau. I mean, it didn't look like fun baseball weather. They got it done and we didn't, but it was, it felt like they definitely outplayed us, both yesterday and today. I mean, I think the fact that we got out of there with a series win is happy and move on and hope for better weather. I mean, I'll give them a pardon on the because of the cold.
43 degrees today was the high in Pittsburgh.
It
I
looked
mean,
miserable, man.
God, I think I looked one time in the dugout, and Hogue, who was DHing, he was a starting DH, he had the full jacket on. I was like, hell, I don't blame you, man.
Dude, it was like a full on trench coat. And it's like the jacket that you wear with shoulder pads, you know?
It's
So,
like the jacket Brett Favre wore on the sidelines in Green Bay.
yeah, exactly.
So, anyway, today Ryan Marone turns it over to Carson Kelly. That was a bright spot today. We brought Carson Kelly in a real tough spot right there to get us an out, and he did. Schaffner comes in the seventh inning, and I honestly don't think that it had anything to do. I don't think Schaffner was tired. He threw 6 pitches the day before.
Yeah.
I think that they had all seen him. That probably didn't help. And then, a guy that you talk about getting the timely hit. They had a guy that was in for he was the backup right fielder. He was hitting a $143, and he hits a ground rule double. I think his first double of the year. I think it was the 3rd ground rule double of the weekend. They needed, instead of having that big ass wall in left field, they need to have one all the way around, I guess, because my God,
yeah, that sucks, man. That
sucks.
It was the same way on that. The ball over there to Hefner that he threw to McHugh. I mean, honestly, I mentioned it to you guys the other day. I mean, I feel like our infield has been playing really good defense as of late, and especially McHugh. I mean, he looked a little questionable at first base. In the first couple games, we commented on it, but a hop. I mean, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe a hop off the turf is more pure, than coming off the grass or the dirt. But I think you get used to that, right? And I don't know. That was a play he obviously should have made, but still, I blame it on the daggone conditions. I mean, that whole turf. I don't like it. I just don't like it. But Marone was the other error today. I know we had 2.
Yeah, we had a ground ball back to the pitcher. Marone had a chance to turn it over play. He kind of spikes it at shortstop, and DeCrisio couldn't dig it out. But Marone just battled his ass off today. He didn't have his best stuff.
The other thing was the freaking. I mean, the zone was freaking tight today. I mean, early on. I mean, there was a couple runs that were scored by Pitt in that second inning that I felt like Marone had us out of it.
Yes,
that there was 4 or 5 pitch, and I will say that it was on a 3-2 count that they rung a guy up on a break, or the one up, but it was a breaking ball inside.
Yeah,
not the one that Sosa called for up. That who was that? That was that Zuckerman? I think that was maybe on the 0-2 pitch. But there was a ball inside that they rang him up on a 3-2. They don't ring him up on a 3-2 pitch. But besides that, man, he was caught. They were calling it tight. I mean, it started out at least really tight. It seemed like for Marone. So,
is it all right for me to say on our podcast that I am not a Mike Bell fan? Mike Bell, Pitt Panther head coach.
Yeah, we can say whatever we want to say.
Dear God, that was the whiniest ass coach I've ever seen in my life.
Oh yeah, and on
My
that,
God.
on the Gillum slide today, that was unbelievable. Great play. Hefner laid down the suicide squeeze, and a great play tossing it to the catcher too. I will say, and on live, I thought that he was out, and even the announcer said he's out at home. And he's like, no, wait, he's safe. But what was the other play when he was like immediately questioning it? Mike Bell. There was another play.
I don't know. I felt like he could have had 37 reviews. He'd have reviewed every play, man. He came out of the dugout every time, and he was fussing. I mean, it
was the one on the return to first, where the ball got passed.
Oh yeah,
and it was on Duden's pickoff move, right? The second,
and then we backpicked the guy at first from center field, And then he
Yeah,
came
they
out
called interference. Yeah,
calling interference. I hate that damn rule.
I
Like
do
when I
too.
was growing up, you learned to kind of like block the bag. I mean,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
understand why they don't. I
Yeah.
understand why it's against the rules, but I just don't like it. I mean, the throw beat him anyway, and he
You know the other
bad
things.
base running.
The other thing. Speaking of that, which I didn't know this, y'all probably did. Did y'all know that the first baseman can use the green bag as a as a live base to make an
Really?
out? I didn't know that till the day. Well, the announcers were saying that today during the game.
Did you know what the first baseman can't or who can't use the green bag? Did y'all see the guy get picked off? I don't know what game it was in. I think an SEC game. They picked over to first, and the runner went back into the bag. I mean, he's safe as like it wasn't even close. It was just like I'm showing you my move. Guy goes back to first base and he stands up on the green bag, and they tag him out.
Damn.
No way.
Yeah,
Well,
I was like,
that
this is
makes
terrible. We got to get rid of this thing.
that doesn't make sense in what they were saying today. Then, because they were saying that the first baseman can use it to make the play, like if it's like a throw from the catcher or something,
Really?
or from the right fielder even.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, a guy got picked off because he went back into the green. He I guess slid back a little far, and he actually was standing up. I mean, that's how safe he was. And when he stood up, he put his foot on the green bag. Guy tags him. You're out.
Wow.
He's just standing on the green bag. I mean, ridiculous. Like he's so safe that he's another whole bag over. and, and they called him out. But yeah, that Coach Bell there at Pitt, man. Is that what Elliott got pissed off about? Was we only played 8 innings today, and I think Coach Avent was already like worried, like we got to start
Yeah.
the last inning by 4:00, or we're not going to get to play the last inning. And this guy, he's out there like getting
Slowing the game
reviews
down.
on fair foul balls that are like in the damn 150 foot left of the foul pole. Yeah, he was like every time he was out of the dugout, like almost like we got to leave. I don't know. Maybe if you're a Pitt fan, that's good coaching. But my God, he was just whining a lot. Coach Avent lost his shit too. Did y'all see that? He threw his phone, broke his clipboard. I mean,
I didn't see the clipboard, but I saw the phone, and they were even saying the announcers were saying if his phone still worked, it would be a good opportunity for him to get an NIL deal, saying that his phone still worked.
yeah. So anyway, let's talk a little bit about. Well, before we do that, let's go ahead and name our pitcher and hitter of the week. The Pack Homer pitcher of the week, brought to you by brought to you by Cal Adam and West. Still looking for sponsorship opportunities. You can inbox us on Instagram or X.
We might have some waiting. We might have some waiting in our email, and I hadn't checked it in a while. I need to do that.
Yeah, if you're following us on Instagram and X at Pack Homer Pod, we're a little bit more. We have a little bit better, a little more active social media presence on Instagram. We have a separate person running that account.
We have a VP of social media.
Our VP of social media does a good job with that.
You know what? And we can do this live on the air too. Cal, I was thinking about talking to our VP about maybe we could have her on to give us a weekly softball update. She can fill our Pac-9, our Pack Homer fans. Maybe we can have her on to do a weekly softball segment.
Good luck. Good luck. We were sitting in the airport today, though, and I'm watching the baseball game, and she's watching the baseball game and the softball game. And if you watch the softball game today versus Boston College, my Lord, we had a hard time catching a fly ball. It was a little bit ugly, but so anyway, our Pack Homer Pod pitcher of the week, I think it's probably pretty unanimous, right?
Mr. Dominic.
First two-time award winner, Mr. Fritton. Two-time. 7.7 1/3 innings pitched, 4 hits, 13 punch outs, and has improved his record to 4-1, and is sitting at through 6 starts, a 1.50 ERA, 52 strikeouts, 15 walks in 36 innings, and opponents are hitting a whopping 198 against Mr. Fritton. So Dom Fritton, our Pack Homer pitcher of the week. All right, our hitter of the week.
Luke.
Luke Nixon.
I'm going with Luke as well. Well, we have two unanimous. Luke Nixon. Luke was 5 of 15 this week. Doesn't sound that gaudy, but he had two big hits on both Friday and Saturday. He drove in 7 this week, scored 4 runs, stole 5 bases this week. We've been asking to let him run a little more. He had 5 stolen bases, 2 doubles, and he had a home run this week. Felt like anytime we had a meaningful inning or an important at bat this weekend that Luke came through. So Luke Nixon is our Pack Homer hitter of the week. All right. Before we talk about our Duke series, which is looming on the horizon here this week, just want to talk a little bit about our roster in general. We did it early before the season started. Some things you guys like and don't like. What you think is going to take for us to kind of get where we want to get. We're not in a bad spot, but we have probably played on paper what are supposed to be our 2 easiest series of the year. So it only gets tougher. I'm going to start with you, Wesley, but just what you think, what would you like to see? Is any lineup changes you'd like to see? Any guys that you really feel like we need a little more out of them? I'll let you go.
Yeah, well, I think we were really lucky to get the series in Pittsburgh, and I think to Adam's point, I think you're happy that you took a bunch of guys from the southeast United States, a bunch of guys from Florida, and you went into Pittsburgh in 40-degree at some points in the game, even below from a wind chill effect, and you got the series, so you're happy there. So I don't know that to Adam's point that you look too much into only the 4 hits today, but I mean I know for us when we look at the beginning of the season and we're looking for where we're going to have some pop in the lineup. Everybody here, anybody that follows NC State baseball was counting on Sosa to give us that pop in the middle of the lineup, and we haven't seen that the entire season. So, really, I think that's what's the biggest thing that's missing, and honestly, from a defensive standpoint, probably Lamphere is giving you a little better uh, defensive outings. So just really, to me, those two guys are neck and neck. And I know that might be hard to say at times because Sosa is one of our biggest recruits and over the last 2 years. But to me, Lamphere had some really good at bats this weekend. Just really, really worked the counts and then went backside, drove in a run. So, but ultimately for us to be where we need to be, we really need Sosa to be the kind of player we know he can be.
I'll I'll add on to that when you said that we're who we're looking for from a power standpoint. Would it surprise you guys if I told you that the individual with the most extra base hits on this baseball team is the guy that weighs 162 pounds? This week's hitter of the week. I mean, nothing against Luke. Hell, we love Luke. We're probably like the biggest Luke Nixon fans there are. I mean, we're Eastern North
Well,
Carolina boys.
anytime Luke gets on first base, you just assume he's going to score. I mean, it's just like
Yeah.
he's just a jackrabbit out there. I mean, he really is.
I mean, we're the biggest Luke fans there are. We grew up, Eastern North Carolina, Trot winning World Series for the Red Sox, and Luke, a New Hanover boy, which is, one of the premier baseball programs in the state of North Carolina. I mean, they've had so many guys come out of there. But so, yeah, nothing taken away from Luke, but the guy weighs 162 pounds, plays second base, and he's got 14 extra base hits, which is, great. 10 doubles, 2 triples, 2 home runs. But somebody else has got to hit a damn gap every now and then. And some balls at the ballpark if we're going to get where we want to get. So I might talk about that a little bit more here in a minute, but I'll go to you now, Adam.
No, I agree with Wes. I mean, I think Lamphere looks good. We gotta get him in. I like it behind the plate too. So I mean, I think maybe we need to even be doing more rotations. maybe to take some pressure off Sosa, we need to. What was he batting fifth now? Maybe we need to click him down a spot or two. I think, maybe I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I've liked Ty Head. He's a kid that gets on base a lot too. I mean, he's playing well. But I like him at the bottom. The bottom of the order with Hefner. I mean, I think that's a good spot for the two of them. But yeah, I don't know specifically lineup changes. I mean, not that it matters to even speculate honestly, but I think it kind of goes without saying. I mean, that obviously Sosa's a big part of the power that we're missing. We all obviously rooting for him and want to see him get there. I mean, I think it's
just if you look at
we
what
know
he
what,
did.
know what he's capable of. Yeah.
Yeah, just if you look at what he did in our postseason run last year, like without Alex Sosa, we don't play in Omaha.
Yeah.
And, obviously, and guys, there's a lot on him too. I mean, the guy's supposed to be a draft pick next year. He's hitting the middle lineup in ACC as a sophomore. He's obviously pretty popular. He gets a bunch of NIL deals. I almost think, and he's a very patient guy at the plate. That's why he tends to walk a lot. He's got 17 walks, which is second on the team. But I almost think, like Wesley was, I think it was maybe you, Adam, or whoever said maybe sliding down in the lineup, maybe to even seventh or eighth, and just tell him to go up there and take some damn mule hacks and like, look, buddy, we don't need you to walk. Like, today he struck out on fastball Broadway. Like, I would rather us, maybe lose half of his walk potential for him to hit some balls in the trees. Go up there and look something to drive. He's popping up a lot to like center and left center, and I mean hits the balls deep. He hits a lot of 350-foot fly balls to left center gap. I want him up there like come unbuttoned and let's hit some balls to the right side, and not because I don't think he can be a complete hitter that can hit gap to gap, but because we need somebody to hit the balls in the trees, and we don't have a whole lot of options. Like it's going to have to come from Sosa and McHugh. Maybe that's it.
That's
I mean, that's it. So look, guys, if you got to go up there and strike out a little more, then maybe you're comfortable. Like I don't know, but we need some big flies. So you go out there and open those guys up a little bit and let them try to elevate and celebrate a little more. Then maybe we find a little juice, because that's something that we're definitely missing. I will be interested to see like if Lyons does work himself into any meaningful role as a hitter for us. I mean, everything I've heard about the guy is he's super athletic. He's a switch hitter. I think some of our lefties have struggled left on left, and we're getting
and fast too, right?
Yeah, really fast. I've heard he's the fastest guy on the team. He's obviously a super athlete. He's played outfield, shortstop, and catcher. Not many guys can do that, but interested to see if he works himself in the lineup. Jaros, I mean, I really like Ryan Jaros as a hitter. He's hitting 367, but I don't think you can take Hebner off third base.
He's elite. No. He's elite third baseman.
Yeah, he's elite defensively. He does so much.
And he's been hitting the ball hard too.
He has. Even today, his last out, I think the third baseman made a diving stop. And the play that I know he made an error today, but the play Hebner made today on the bunt, when they had runners on first and second, we ran the wheel play.
Throwing it to DeCrisio.
To DeCrisio coming. I mean, I just don't think Jaros can do that right now. And
no.
I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I think that he has to play third base for us to get where we want to get. So, from a pitching staff standpoint, I'll let you guys talk first about the hitters. So I guess I'll take this one on first. I am kind of curious to know or see, who we start this week. I'm assuming we're going to start. I'm going to guess. I'm completely guessing that maybe Jackson Lucas is starting the SC Upstate game. I was kind of surprised not to see him 2 weekends in a row when he's thrown in the midweek. He hasn't thrown on the week yet, and that concerns me for a couple reasons, but mainly because he's got a 1.74 ERA, and if we're not using that arm, and he doesn't walk guys. If you look at him now, he's got 1 walk in 10 innings, 13 strikeouts. We're not using him on the weekend at all. So is it that he can't bounce back? And some guys can't. Some guys throw 25 pitches, they're cooked. Or are we going to move him into that midweek role so we can use Anderson Nance more on the weekend? I don't know. I'm kind of eager to see what happens there, but I think Jackson Lucas is a guy that, if he's not going to be a midweek starter, that I would like to see him throw more meaningful innings on the weekend. I mean, if you think about this week, we beat Davidson 13-0. When Lucas came into the game in that 13-0 ball game, we were already up 11-0. So to me, if that's a guy that is going to throw strikes, that is young and getting better, he's either got to be a starter in the midweek if he can only throw once a week, or we got to use him in ACC innings. So I think that's something to discuss. And then, when does it really all come together for Coop and Duden? Is another question. And then, of course, when will we see D-Rock in ACC action, and how close is he to being ready for that? Wes?
No, I think you're right. I mean, when we started the season, we were joking today, this weekend through text that, I think that, Duden was a number one rated, uh, you know, one of the number one rated closers in the country, and of course D-Rock too. And then at this point, when we get to the seventh inning, we're like, oh my God, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
So I mean, things change fast, right? So, but again, it's still not even April, So there's a lot of things that are going to materialize with the staff, and I mean, we probably in this podcast or YouTube or whatever the hell we call this thing, we probably didn't give Schaffner enough credit, for what he did this weekend. Because I'm sure when we started the year, that was not what Schaffner thought his role was going to be, and then look at where he's at now, and how he stepped up, for us and for the team. So, for us, I think we still have I feel like, even though we might be a little nervous when we get to the seventh, eighth, ninth inning, we have more options as we get into April and May than most other ACC teams, I would say. So I feel really good about the pitching staff. For us is that we're going to have enough offense, we have enough pop. When we start getting to the meat of the schedule, we're not playing Pitt and Virginia Tech's not a bad team, but when we start playing, you know, the
Duke
powerhouses
and
of
the
the ACC,
Carolinas and the
right,
Clemsons. Yeah.
right.
Adam?
What's even the question?
Just pitching staff wise, like, what are your questions
Oh,
that you said?
no, I'm good. I'm good with the pitching staff. I feel the same way. I mean, I'm excited to see more D-Rock. I mean, you know, seeing him down in Jacksonville doing long toss, I was a little encouraged by that, and then you know, it's been good to see him when we've seen him so far. And I'm still real high on Cooper Consiglio. I mean, I think he's not off much, man. I think he just needs some more meaningful work, and I still really trust him in those. I still trust him in those high leverage situations. I still think that he's gonna be an important piece of this staff down the stretch if we're gonna make a postseason run again. I'm still a big believer in him, and honestly, Carson Kelly came in today and got that out. I was impressed by that. I mean, I thought that was a gutsy move on his part. I agree with Wesley. I'm not really concerned about the pitching. I mean, our starting pitching has been so dominant. It all gets down to like what we talked about when we let off. We talked about this with our buddy Alex G. Way back when too. If you got a sub 4 ERA or sub 5 ERA in today's college baseball world, I mean you're you're a good pitcher, and you should win games with that. I think it just comes down to we got to score more runs for these guys. So I think definitely more concerned about putting the ball in play and scoring runs at this point.
last year's College World Series, Wolfpack had a 6.05 ERA.
Team ERA?
Team ERA, 6.05 last year. We were walking 5 guys a game. Now we're walking 3 guys a game. Our ERA is sub 4. I think it's around 380, 390.
Our
And
starters is sub 3.
God, last year the best ERA on the team of any meaningful innings was Marone at 397 in 59 innings. And then you look this year, and Fritton's at $1.50, Nance at 282, Marone at 286. His probably went up a little bit today, I think like 316. Andrews at 319, Lucas at 174, Schaffner at 281. And then Coop and Consiglia Coop and Duden are both over 5, but those guys, they still have the stuff. I did think Duden today, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but he got ahead a couple of times with 95-mile-an-hour fastballs in 40-degree weather. When it warms up, and that fastball goes from 95 to 98, and he can get ahead of guys, he's going to be fine. Last year at this time, hell, do y'all remember the podcast where I was like, hey, I'll tell you who's going to get hot. This guy's got an ERA of 16. I think he's a dude. Next thing you know, him and Duden and D-Rock last year at this time were like, we'll see. Like, we really got a lot of questions about this bullpen. So, no, I agree. All right. This week, it does not get any easier. The one thing I'm worried about when you look at our schedule is that we have Duke and Virginia now in back-to-back series. Duke, Virginia, and Louisville. And Louisville, took a step back this week, losing the series to Virginia Tech. But, like, in my mind, you just know that Duke can't play as bad as they've played, but for so long. Virginia can't play as bad as they've played, but for so long. Or at some point you're bad, right? Virginia's 3-6 in the ACC. They are up against the wall, and they're as talented a group as there is in the ACC. I think they were picked to win the ACC preseason. So,
well, the team that was picked. You said you were talking about them being number 2 preseason. The team that was number 1 preseason, I believe, is 0-6 in the SEC.
Whew. Yeah, Texas A&M. Wesley said before we came on, what's going to happen mid-season, Wesley, if they lose this Kentucky series?
Yeah, I think they'll fire the coach mid-season.
That's wild, isn't it?
Gosh, played in the damn championship in Omaha last year, and their coach's seat is scorching hot.
Anyway, it's changes fast. Wesley made that comment earlier. It changes fast.
You got Duke and UVA back to back. Duke now, after sweeping Virginia, they hope they've righted the ship. They're playing better, and then you got Virginia the week after, who's going to be real hungry. But let's talk about the Duke series. Duke they really hadn't hit the ball. My buddy Perk, I'm sure Perk's going to listen this week to see what we pick against his Dukies. But he's like, we hadn't hit the ball. Then next week they hadn't pitched the ball. Then the next week they didn't hit the ball again. And then this week they hit. Anyway, Duke's got a 276 batting average, which is lower than the Pacs. That sounds surprising. And then they got an ERA over 5 right now. They are now, back to 5-4 in conference play after a sweep. But a team that was preseason number 12 in the country, maybe. A talented roster. I think Pollard over at Duke is one of the best coaches in the ACC. They're going to start. If they go the way they did this weekend, they started Owen. I don't know how to say Owen's last name. Owen Proschk. Proksch. His ass definitely is not from south of the Mason-Dixon. There's no way. Andrew Healy. So Prosch has a 3.14 ERA. Healy he'll be coming in with a 6.75 ERA. And then today they threw kind of Harry Holstaff. Started a guy named Henry Zatkowski, who has a 5.71 ERA. So you feel like from the way they've thrown the ball compared to how we've thrown the ball, that probably a little advantage there. Our pitchers have struck out 230 and 186 innings. They've struck out 227 and 219 innings. one glaring difference between the Duke offense and the Wolfpack offense is Duke's hitting a good bit of home runs. They've hit 40 already, led by Mr. Ben Miller, who's hitting 311 with 11 home runs so far. And then got four guys hitting, right around 300, 5 guys. Tyler Albright, Wallace Clark, Ben Miller, Macon Winslow, and Jake Berger. And then this name right here, this is going to surprise you. Y'all remember AJ Gracia?
No.
Anyway, he's one of the best players at Duke. Gracia last year, somebody look up the stats while I'm telling you this. But anyway, Gracia last year had a huge year. Right now he's hitting a $169 with 2 home runs. So, we talked about Sosa struggling a little bit or below expectations. Gracia is hitting 169 last year. Has anybody got the stats, or am I going to beat y'all to it?
You're going to beat me to it. I'm trying to pull it up on my phone.
All right. So last year, he broke the freshman home run record for Duke. Hit 14 home runs last year as a freshman. He was a first team.
305, I think.
305, first team freshman All-American. A guy they've expected a lot out of and has not really delivered so far, but you got to think that he's due to bust out. So predictions. What do you guys think we're going to do in Durham next week? And I think game 1, I heard, is at 8:00 Friday night. That's a late game. Wesley can't hardly stay up that late.
Must be on the network.
Everything we can do to get Wesley to get on a 9:00 podcast on Sunday night.
I'm about to fall asleep right now.
It is on the network, Mr. Litch. So, who wants to go first? Which one of y'all?
I'm going to go 2-1. I think we win 2. Their starters have not been very consistent, I feel like. Just looking at the stats, I hadn't watched them play. But just based on the stats and the ERA against the opponents that they've played, I feel like, it would be an opportunity for our hitters, hopefully, to get back on track. I believe in our pitching still, and I think that's enough to win 2 out of 3. So I think
Wesley?
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Duke doesn't have the Santucci this year that they any type of dominant guys that they've had in the past. But with that being said, we made some pretty subpar pitchers look dominant this past weekend too. So I don't know that that's necessarily something we should base a decision off of. But I mean, I think it's going to
what's the
be.
forecast? Let me check the forecast. I might reconsider.
I think it's going to be perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's perfect baseball weather. And then it's nationally televised, so I think it's going to be a really good series. But I'll take us to NC State. Good guys 2, bad guys 1.
Oh, man. I'm going to be the bad guy. I think they scored, let's see, 35 runs in 3 games versus a Virginia team that came in with a sub-5 ERA. So that makes me very nervous. Man, I think we get 1 out of 3. I would love to get if we win a series, I'm going to feel really good on here next Sunday night. But I think going on the road. And last year, you remember we stole one from them.
But there's no going on the road at Duke though. There's nobody going to go to the game.
They all live in New York.
There will be more NC State fans at that game in Durham than there'll be at any other. So it won't be a road. I mean, to me, that's not an advantage for them.
A true road environment.
It's another game where they don't mow grass because over there they play on that turf.
Yeah, exactly.
All right,
that's just chicken shit. I'll tell you.
I mean, I know over there at Duke they're too good to have a turf grass management program, but they all have people
all
there that mow their yards in the Hamptons.
all the turf at Chapel Hill is managed by Wolfpack grads. They can do the same thing.
Yeah, Belichick came in there and ripped the turf back up. He said, "We're playing on this bullshit. We're gonna play on grass, man."
Yeah, that program is run by a former Pac Niner.
Love it. All right. Before we go, last thing I'm going to talk about baseball wise. The RPI, you can start following it now. I think that Warren Nolan does the best job of keeping it live.
Agreed.
D1 baseball does a lot of great things with a lot of stuff. That's why we have a subscription. But if you follow Warren Nolan after this weekend, we're up to 60 in the RPI. Believe it or not, Pitt, that team we felt so bad about not getting a sweep against, is currently at 40. But Duke, who we take on this week, is at 51. If you look at our schedule from here on out, after today's loss, we're at 17-7. Our midweek opponent, I'm sorry, we didn't mention South Carolina Upstate. We play South Carolina Upstate at the Doak at 6 o'clock on Tuesday night, but they're 119 in the RPI, which is a pretty good midweek matchup. And then we got 51 Duke, Virginia at 147, Louisville at 44, Cal at 69, and then we have Clemson at 3, Miami at 72 at Miami, and then finish up in ACC play with number 16 UNC and number 24 Stanford. So got a lot of work left to do. The pack right now by Mr. Nolan is predicted to finish at 38-22 and 14-16 in conference play. I hope we're a little bit better than that. But anyway, if you follow on Warren Nolan, it gives you that update.
I'm trying to see where in the world A&M is on Warner Nolan right now.
You gotta keep going down.
Man,
Keep scrolling.
117.
Oof.
Preseason number 1. 0-6 in the SEC.
So life comes at you
11
fast.
11-12 overall.
11 and 12 overall for the preseason number 1 team in the country. So don't panic, Pack fans. We got a lot of time left.
But they were the unanimous number 1 team in every poll.
Yeah.
Big spenders. They had a hell of a crazy expensive lineup. A lot of names in that lineup. I think Jeff Kent's son's one everybody probably remembers. But anyway, yeah,
They need to get Mike Elko's son.
Mm-hmm. At Richmond. What he's absolutely raking. What is Richmond now? What they do this week? Richmond's 20-4 now.
They lost one game. They lost a game.
2 out of 3 to St. Joseph's this weekend.
Yeah.
Comes at you fast. All right. Before we get off, we try not to do this, but we have to because Adam wore his hat tonight. Closing takes, boys.
Will Wade Avenue.
Wade Avenue. How excited are you at? Wesley, can we start contributing again to the
Can we give money to basketball? We can get Veep. Hey, we got time right now. You can make a clip. We'll get Veep to do the clip from last year. And then we'll put 2024 Wesley Wilson. And then we'll put March 2025 Wesley Wilson.
The pack is back.
Oh, man. I tell you what, it feels good to get the guy that we wanted for changing something, right? I mean, guy or girl.
Well, it's just a lot. I think there's a lot of, if you look at the new chancellor and the positivity there, and then, we get to Adam's point, the number 1 hire that, generally in an NC State coaching search in my 37 years of life is we have a top 3 candidates, and then we get the guy nobody's ever heard of. I'm like, oh, that guy from the Midwest, like he's an up and comer, like it seems a little different. And I think that's extremely positive. And I mean, look at what West is doing with women's basketball, obviously what Coach Avent has sustained for so many years. And, you know, and Dave's had a solid program, and we went to the Final Four last year in basketball, but I think that, from what's, everything needs to be sustainable, and I don't think our men's program was sustainable from the Final Four, and now maybe that piece is solved, and it seems like maybe Kevin didn't have the resources, or maybe he did. I don't know. I mean, honestly, it's nobody to blame but him if he didn't have the resources, because if as a coach and Power Five level, you're the sales guy, it's on you. So if you don't have the resources, that's on you. And now it seems like the fan base is 1000% bought in on Will Wade and what he brings to the table.
Yeah, I don't know there was a name you could have mentioned that I wanted more than Will Wade. I think he's what,
No.
43 years old. The guy is a winner. I don't give a damn about him paying anybody at LSU. They all pay him now. They were all paying him then.
Yeah.
Don't
You ain't
tell
never
me.
seen Blue Chips?
Yeah,
Yeah. That's
you
my
tell me,
favorite
Penny Hardaway and
Shaq.
Shaq?
telling me Zion Williamson went to Duke for free. I know Coach
Oh
K
yeah,
wouldn't let that boy
man.
take a free
Nah, man.
sandwich. Get out of here.
Man, when Zion went to Durham, he just loved Durham. You know what I mean? And I can understand that.
The weather's so good. It's
Yeah,
such a
yeah,
vibrant downtown. Get out of here.
yeah. He just loved Durham.
So
They actually took him to the baseball field, and he was like, "Wow, look at this place."
so
It
yeah,
feels different. Feels different this time.
it
Yeah,
does.
it does. It
I
feels
hope
different.
we're not wrong, but man, I loved his press conferences leading up to the tournament, and that is just the age we're living in. That applies to baseball too. But when they asked him about the NC State job, and a smile definitely came across his face, but he said, "Look, guys, is everybody in this program is playing for a better job." It wasn't a direct quote, but a lot of those guys on his team are gonna monetize their success this year too, whether it be in NIL money, staying at McNeese State, or whether they move on to greener pastures. And I'm sure a couple of them are probably going to have a Raleigh address here soon. But um, you know, I like that he didn't dodge it with his players.
I
That
love that.
he
I
met it
love
head
that.
on. Um,
I,
and
I don't I don't ever recall seeing that. Do you?
I never do. They always say we'll talk about it when the season's over, or I'm focused on whatever job they
My
have right
team.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
I mean,
but he might hit. I mean, I agree. I commend him for that. But he might have been an anomaly that he was at VCU, then he was at LSU, and then all that happened. Then he went to McNeese State. He's taken a different path, I'd say, than a lot of other mid major coaches have maybe taken. But I agree. I mean, I think it's very commendable that he did that. But I don't think anybody on his team thought that if he had the opportunity that he wasn't going to jump back to the Power Four.
and I definitely have given Boo a lot of heat. Still pissed off about Omaha in 2021, and I'm gonna get pissed off about that. But I do appreciate Boo for giving him a damn good offer. He must
Yeah,
have made him
yeah.
a damn good offer. So hats off to Boo for getting that done. And I have never in my lifetime, and I was born in 1985, so this is not completely true, but in my memory, uh, growing up, I never remember, the excitement around NC State basketball that we have right now. I feel like our fans are more excited about this, or just as excited as we were our Final Four run last year. Like, hey,
well, the
last
the
Dude,
year,
hard
dude,
go ahead,
they
Wesley.
the hard thing about the Final Four run last year is that everything happened even after the home season. So if you look at, I mean, anybody that's a like us and you bought season basketball tickets for the last however long I have, and colossal waste of money. But but you think about it, even last year during the Final Four, we were terrible. Coach Keats we assumed, was all going to get fired before. So we never had any excitement in Raleigh until the ACC
dude,
tournament,
his
right? I mean, it
office
was
was
just,
packed up.
yeah, I mean, we, so I mean, it's just, I think that's why people say, well, why didn't the fan base rally around Coach Keats? But I think that was one of the reasons. Again, we never had that excitement in Raleigh. We haven't won an ACC road game in 2 years. Like, this is not a normal situation. We had, I'm looking at a poster at Burns and, Morcell and all these guys on my wall, like that was a special run they had. But as far as the fan base rallying, like we never had a chance. The ACC tournament was in Washington, D.C. I mean, how many people were able to go to Washington, D.C.? And then, I know Adam went out to Dallas, and of course we all, went out to the Final Four and in Phoenix. But the fan base never really had that opportunity to rally in Raleigh, which we need that. Like we need that at PNC Arena. Of course, the Hurricanes have had that consistently for hell for the last decade, it feels like. And I think again back to the sustainable piece, like we have to have a program that's you can sustain that success. It can't just be once every how many whatever. Hell, I'm not even gonna say how many because it's been 40 years of my life. Um, but I think that's where the excitement's coming from now. It's like, wow, we got a guy that can build a program, and can recruit. And not to say Kevin couldn't do those things, but he didn't. Like I could just call it like it is. He didn't. So that's just what it is.
Yeah, I agree with you, Wes. I think you're absolutely right. I think Keats was unfortunately already written off before the ACC run. Fans were kind of over it, and it was hard to get him bought back in, even after the ACC run. The NCAA run too. So,
Yeah, I mean
you talk about
there were fans that were kind of on the fence about like definitely there us three included. Everybody in Wolfpack Nation appreciates Coach Keats and getting the monkey off our back with the ACC championship and getting us back to the Final Four. We will forever. I hope that if he ever comes back to Villanova Center, that he gets a standing ovation.
Oh,
When
1,000%.
when he brings that Final Four team back, I'm sure they'll have some reunions, and he 100% deserves it. We'll give him credit where it's due. But I guess you guys' point is that no one, we went from a Final Four run to not even preseason top 25. Everybody in Wolfpack Nation kind of felt like we just got hot and went on a magical run. We appreciate it for what it is. And then to not make the ACC tournament this year, coming off of a Final Four run, was just kind of the nail in the coffin. And man, really, really excited about what we've done as a basketball program. And yeah, I'm looking forward to Mr. Wade coming to town on Tuesday. I know a lot of people are.
I saw something. I was just trying to find it again. I can't find it, but One Pack, they came out with their Will Wade merch today. I don't know if y'all saw that or not, but I saw something that said that since they had released that, they'd sold $10,000 worth
Gosh,
Damn.
of Will Wade merch. I mean, they got some cool shirts and and like they got like 2 or 3 hats and like 3 or 4 shirts.
I need one of those Wade Avenue hats.
I mean, we need to get some Avent merch, man. What the hell?
Yeah, we used to have the Army. He doesn't even have the Army anymore.
We need to get some
Oh,
Avent
we don't.
merch.
That's right.
Get some
Man,
Avent merch.
we gotta do it on we gotta do it on his behalf or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Get a T-shirt with a broken cell phone on
It
it.
is amazing how loud
With the
he is
swim
during the
move. Get the
game.
one with the swim move. We'll get the
Yeah.
one with the
Like when you're watching the game on television, it's amazing how loud Avent is. You can hear
it
every word
is.
he says.
So distinguishable too, that Eastern North Carolina draw. There's no question who it is. I love it. All right, guys. Big weekend coming up. Hopefully we're in a good mood next weekend when we do this.
I hope so. God bless. We need it. We need it.
See you next week, and go Pack.
Go
Go
Pack.
back.